going on, you guys? Jonathan here, and I want to talk to you guys about maintenance and repairs that I've done with my BMW. So what are some things that I've done with the car that have caused me to fix it because something just straight up broke, or what are some things that I've done proactively just because of preventative maintenance? So let's jump right into it. So I've had this car for over 6.5 years. This is a 2000 BMW 328i. I talk a little bit about this in my introductory to Garage Denali video, so if you haven't seen that, please do check it out. So yeah, I bought this car in 2011. It was end of June. It had about 71,000 miles on it when I got it. Pretty clean car for the most part. One owner before me, and then I picked it up, and I've had it for the last 6 years and a couple months, and it's been quite a journey, to say the least. I've learned a lot about cars in owning this car. I've done a lot of work on it. It's taught me how to use my hands, how to go online and find the best parts, the best resources, and I bought the car in June 2011, and it had 71,000 miles. And it wasn't really until, I want to say, about 79,000 miles when I had the first issue, and that was related to the power steering. It was actually a cooling system issue. The expansion tank blew. It took one of the serpentine belts off, so I lost power steering. So that set me back a couple days, a little bit of money. Afterwards, it was just routine. I changed the brakes on the car. I did all 4 pads, and I didn't do the rotors because I wasn't really into maintaining the car as much as possible at that time. But I did that, and then afterwards I did the Vanos seals at about 86,000 miles. So the Vanos is BMW's variable valve timing system, and it's this module right here. There's a couple sprockets in there, some other gears, and they basically have some seals that go bad over time. And that can cause some rattling noise, it can cause some loss in performance issue. I know that when I changed the seals on this car, I gained a lot of my torque back. So whenever there was more than one person in the car, I noticed that the car didn't seem like it was down on power anymore, and it's because of that. So after I did that, the rear springs on the car broke. Ironically, they were both cracked, and the funny story about that is there was a piece of spring in my driveway, and it was there for quite a few months, and we have this old truck, and I thought that it came from that old truck. It's a 99 F-150, and I was driving the car, I heard a creak coming from the back of the car, and I figured, well, I hope that's not my subframe, because these cars are pretty notorious for having the subframe cracking. So I took it to my mechanic, and he checked it out, and he found that both rear springs were cracked. So I took care of that, and now the car is good as new again. After that, I changed the washer fluid pump because for some reason that was leaking. After that, I changed the window regulator on this door right here. It broke. Eventually, a little later on, my radiator started leaking, so I got a new one and took care of that. I had a couple more issues with the cooling system as far as the expansion tank, the bracket, the cap. This is an automatic car, so I had to change the transmission thermostat. And it's not that the car is necessarily unreliable, it's just that at the time, this car was never serviced for cooling issues at all. Through the years, the plastics just got hard and they cracked. So a lot of what was original started to check out. I've also done the oil filter housing gasket, which is right underneath the oil filter reservoir right here. I went over to Thompson BMW in Doylestown, PA, and I did the Takata airbag recall because my car was one of the cars that were recalled, and I believe it was only on the later model E46s where they also had the driver's side airbag that needed to be replaced. I have an early model, so that wasn't the case for me. And then I reached 100,000 miles in May 2015. I didn't drive the car too terribly much in those last 6 years, mainly because my high school was like a couple miles away from my house. And while I was in college, I didn't really need the car, so I didn't really drive it all too much during that time. I replaced the windshield cowl because this was all dry rotted and cracked, and in my opinion, it didn't look good. Afterwards, I decided that I wanted to be more serious as far as maintenance and make sure the car is as reliable as possible. I changed the front control arms with bushings, and that made a huge improvement in the way the car would brake, because I noticed that I had a minor steering wheel wobble and that just went away. I've also done the front strut reinforcement plates, which are sandwiched in there, which help reinforce the car's steel so it doesn't mushroom. I've also changed the fuel pump in this car, which is right underneath the back seat here on the passenger side. And I do really like that because it shows that the engineers were attention to detail and they really thought of servicing this car when the time comes. I've also changed the fuel filter and the fuel pump relay. Afterwards, I've done the idler pulley, the tensioner pulley. I've replaced the AC pulley, both of the serpentine belts because preventative maintenance. As I did a complete power steering overhaul. So that includes the power steering reservoir, the lines, the fluid, the pump. And I noticed that after I did that, the car's handling, the car steering was just a lot more fluid. Afterwards, I did the differential fluid. I took that to my mechanic at World Auto Service in Philadelphia. So if any of you are in the Philadelphia area and need a good mechanic, you can check them out. After I did the differential bushings, I checked the subframe bushings, changed the differential fluid. This being an automatic car, this has two fans right here. There is a mechanical fan which is attached to the water pump and it spins when the engine's running. And then there's an auxiliary fan which actually sits right in front of the radiator. So I took both of those out and I swapped it for an electric fan like the one found on manual cars. And that just makes working on the car that much easier. It works servicing the front a lot more convenient because you can just pop the fan out and you don't have to worry about getting those special tools and getting the mechanical fan out. But also it's less load on the front of the car. A lot more airflow that goes through the radiator, so it allows the car to cool a little better. I've also done the brakes again as far as pads, rotors, fluid. So those are all brand new. You can see right here, I even got a new caliper on the front wheels because those were completely rusted. I did the suspension. I've replaced the OEM suspension, which was completely blown. I've put the OEM sport suspension on it because I'm actually trying to put the sport package back on this car. And that lowers the car a little bit, so I did the struts, the shocks, the springs, and all that. And the only thing that's left that's not sports is the sway bars. So I might do that later on, I'll see. Eventually the driver's side window regulator has also failed, so I bought a new part from FCP Euro and I replaced that. I really love FCP Euro because they have a lot of parts that you need for your car for Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, and they offer lifetime warranty. So that pretty much sums up everything that I've done with the car as far as maintenance and repairs, and I'm sure there's a couple things that I missed out. You know, I've done the usual oil changes and there's a couple of small things here and there, but you guys pretty much get the general idea. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Please check out the channel for more content. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Thank you very much and take care.